Welcome to 40 Below Zero, an international podcast about life with invisible illnesses, hosted by two guys living with multiple sclerosis. Coming to you from the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, I'm your co-host Nix, and with me on this ride is Terry, a Londoner who calls Ontario home. We're so happy you're here with us as we continue to try and normalize a life that is anything but. So let's get into it. What's up, Warriors? Welcome back to another episode of 40 Below Zero. Glad you're here. Terry, it's a balmy 19.4 degrees Celsius down here. It's finally time to put on the sweaters. Very excited for that.
I appreciate you saying it in Celsius, man.
Of course, 67 degrees Fahrenheit for us non-Canadians. How you been?
Yeah, I'm okay, man. Everything's cool. I
Yeah,
did my Archivist treatment,
I
last
saw.
Thursday. I'm fine. Everything's
Yeah.
okay. You know, the steroids might have got me all jumpy and shit, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay for the most part.
That's good to hear. And we saw your Ogrevous buddy was with you. You sent me that picture.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
Shannon.
appreciate that. Shannon. Hi, Shannon. Good to see you again. So tell us about our guest this week. I'm very excited about this one.
This guy made me lose sleep. Why? Because he sent me a picture that I can't get out of my mind, bro. You don't know me, man.
Okay.
I'm like, you show me any blood and stuff, I'm like squeamish. I'm like, bro.
Uh,
And it was unexpected. I turned on my phone, and this picture is just there. And I'm like, I can't do this, man. Roneel Gounder, bro. I'm so happy you're here. This is the second time I'm seeing you since I was in Edmonton.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah. It was an awkward day for me because you guys were all hanging out at that restaurant, and I was sitting in front of you like, hey, what's up? I'm the new guy.
Yeah.
So it was so awkward, man. Roneel Gounder, Nick, you've heard about him. I've talked about him.
mhm.
He's the
Yep.
founder. First thing I'm going to start with is he's the founder of Bollywheels. That to me is important. Yeah, he's on Push, the documentary series on CBC Gem, and but Bollywheels, that's a new thing, and that's pretty cool, man. And I see how much respect it's getting now, and I cannot believe that there hasn't been a Bollywheels in the past, and that's a genius idea,
Oh, thank you.
you know. So, first of all, before we even start, my first question to you is, and I can ask this:
Yeah.
why are you in a chair?
Do you want the long version or the short version?
Is it because walking is overrated? No, I'm just joking.
Oh, yeah,
Just
100%.
you posted that once, so
Yeah.
no. But what's going on? Tell me. Yeah.
So I was 24. I just turned 27, so this is about 3 years ago. Um, I worked 16 hours at the hospital, so I'm a porter manager there. And before I became a porter manager, I was a porter. So I worked 16 hours transporting patients, everything. Came home and it was like 11:30 at night, and my friend and his wife
Hmm.
showed up to mine and my fiance's apartment. Me and my fiance are no longer together, just FYI. So showed up to our apartment randomly, and they're like, "Let's go sledding," and I was like, "Fuck no!" Like, it's so late. I just worked 16 hours. Like, I don't want to go. I'm tired. And then they were kind of like, let's go, please. And I was like, I haven't even ate dinner. Like, so my ex was like cooking dinner or whatever. So I ended up eating, and I was like, I don't know. And then there was like, we didn't even know where our winter stuff was, like, because we had just moved into that apartment. So everything was still in boxes. So my friend's wife was like, I'll go look through your, like, look in the boxes. And my ex was like, you're not going through our shit. like, like I'll go help you, whatever. So they ended up opening like 17 out of 20 boxes before they found our winter stuff. We didn't even have like sleds. So me and my friend ended up going to Walmart 5 minutes before they closed because it was across the street, and it's like midnight at this point. We end up getting two sleds, and I'm still like, I don't want to go. And then they kind of like talked me into it, and I was like, hey, let's go for a drive, whatever. And then end up going to this hill. The first time we go down, it was my friend and his wife, and then me and my ex on another sled. Everything's good. The second time, it was my ex's, or sorry, my ex and then his wife, And then they went down, and the sled kind of like started turning, and it was headed towards a tree. They hit a hole and they spun out. So me and him move over, and we're like, okay, we'll move over so it doesn't go in the same path. We go down the hill, and I'm sitting in front, and I notice that the sled starts turning and it's going straight towards this tree. And I tell him to like lean over, doesn't lean, because I like look back at him, and then I brought my legs out of the sled to kind of stop it, but it was straight ice, so couldn't stop. And then what ended up happening was, instead of keeping his legs around me, he brought his knees up. So his knees, when we hit the tree, hit me, pushed me up, and I ended up like, so that was like the first impact. The second impact was when I hit the tree. I ended up breaking 2 ribs, my sternum, my pelvis, landed on top of him, and that was the second break. Then he brought his knees up and rolled. That was the third one, like third and fourth. And then he was like, "Let me get you out." And I was like, "No." And before I could say no, he pulled me, and that was the fifth break. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Dude,
Yeah.
Wow.
just happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean,
December 2021.
Wow.
dude, that's crazy. I didn't know it was that recent. I thought you were in a chair for like 10 years. I don't know.
No, I'm one of the newer ones. Well, in
Oh.
push, out of the people in push, like I'm the newest one.
Wow.
By the way, he just turned 27. His birthday was on September 29th. So happy belated birthday, bro.
Thank you.
Happy belated.
Yeah.
That's a heck of an injury. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, I was conscious throughout the whole thing. Like, even when the paramedics came, like my ex called 911. Well, she came running. I actually have a video of it. So she came running, and then I was like, "Something's wrong. Call 911." And this is the part that I can't really remember. Is so before my accident, I was actually in school to become a paramedic. So I started doing like a check on myself, and I immediately knew, like, yeah, something's wrong. Like, I can't feel my legs, and I felt my pelvis, and I was like, yeah, no, my pelvis is broken. And the part that I can't remember if I was wearing the scarf or if she was, but I remember the scarf, and I said, like, put it underneath my butt, and then I started doing a pelvic bind on myself, and
Wow.
yeah, and then so she's on the phone with 911, and they tell her, so she's trying to tell them where we are, and she starts giving them the wrong place. And I'm like, no, that's not where we are. So I take the phone from her, put it on my chest, on speaker, doing a pelvic bind on myself. And then my friend's wife, my friend, he tells his wife to go get the SUV, because we all went in one car, and it was like parked across the field on the other side. She brings it across, and it's straight ice on this field. She jumps the curb and brings the SUV onto the field, and the SUV starts sliding, and the tire was maybe like a foot away from my head.
Oh my God.
We need
Yeah.
we need an animated
Wow.
thing so we can see it. And,
Oh, like a visual? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need to, Terry, you have no idea. I've never had a pelvic break, but as a former EMT, I've seen pelvic, and I've dealt with pelvic breaks. The sheer will to not focus on the actual break, the pain of the break, and to bind yourself is unbelievable, Terry. You have no idea just what it takes mentally to be like, yep, I just need to pull my hips together now. Oh my God. Whew, respect.
Were you aware that you're really damaged? Were you aware that that's it? I'm going to be in a chair?
I knew I was paralyzed. Like, for sure, I knew I was paralyzed, because there was a point where like my shoes flew off, and my ex was like, "Oh, I'm tickling your feet," or something. She was like, "Do you feel this?" And I was like, "No." And I like kind of like brought my head up to look at her, and like I saw that she was like playing with my feet, and I'm extremely ticklish, and couldn't feel it. So I was like, yeah, no, I know I'm paralyzed. I didn't think that I'd be paralyzed basically permanently. I thought it'd be maybe like temporary. I think that part didn't register to me, but I knew that, like, with the pelvis break, yeah, I was in pain, but there was more pain from my spine and my chest,
Sure.
and I couldn't breathe. So I was more focused on my breathing and controlling that, because I knew if I didn't control that, my body would go into shock. and it was already cold outside too. It was like -40. So I was like focused on like keeping myself alive rather than on the pain.
And
The
you
self,
broke ribs.
Yeah.
yeah, the self-awareness for this story is just unbelievable. Just to have the mindset of so many people just freak out and they're like, they just, but just to be like, oh, yep, I'm in pain. Yep, I need to yep, I'm going in shock. Like, oh my goodness. That's warrior level stuff, my friend.
Thank you.
So
I'm not surprised either. Sorry, go ahead.
where's the where's the lasting separation at, if you don't mind me asking?
T12.
T12. Okay.
Yeah. So I broke my T11, T12, L1, L2, L3, but my T12 was the worst one. And that's where my spinal cord got damaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that he did that whole pelvic, whatever you guys are talking about. I'm not, but he had an infection on his hand that I didn't know you can get from having, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
So he basically, what I know is he had a callus and it got infected from pushing his chair so much. But the remember I told you he sent me a picture? So they did like a mini surgery on it to fix it up, and they took a chunk out of his finger or something like that. And he took a picture and he told me that when they were doing the surgery, that he was looking at it the whole time. And I'm like, yeah, that's sicko. Dude, I can't. I know it was numb. I asked you, was it numb? You're like, yeah. So you're looking at the needle. And the story you were telling me, man, I couldn't even listen to it. I had to put my phone down and say, dude, what are you doing?
It was like, yeah, because like pushing the wheelchair, like you're gonna get calluses, your hands are obviously gonna get stronger or whatever, right? And I I've gotten calluses before on the sides of my hand. Like I've gotten it before and it's always healed, whatever. But for some reason this one didn't heal. And then on Wednesday I went to like I went to hockey and I like pulled off my glove and like my finger was like double in size and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like what the hell? Then Thursday I end up going to urgent care and then they're like, yeah, it's badly infected. They cut it out, like cut out that chunk, sewed it up. And I was just like watching the whole time. I was like, this is pretty cool. And I was like talking to the resident doctor and then I was talking to like the main physician and then we are talking about school and stuff because I start school in January for my undergrad because I'm using that to apply for med school. So I was like, I gotta get used to it anyways.
Dude, not on your own
Nice.
finger. Yo, so you're gonna be a doctor still? That's really cool, man.
Oh, 100%. That I mean, like that was the route that I was trying to go for when I was like becoming a paramedic. So it was like once you become like a primary care, you can it's like a year or two of another schooling for advanced care. And then from there it's 2 more years and then you enter residency for med school, right? So I was like, I wanted to do that route because it was easier, it was faster, and then it's also like you're getting the work experience as well. But now I'm like, obviously, I can't be a paramedic, so I'm doing it like the proper way.
And when you are successful and become a doctor, what is your where do you want to go into?
I'm that's the one part I'm struggling with. I don't know which field yet. I'm either debating like a general family physician, um, just because like the family physicians here are like a lot of times they don't really listen. Like I find that every doctor kind of blames everything on the wheelchair. Like you could be sick, you could have a cold, and you'll go ask for antibiotics, and I'll be like, oh, it's because you're in a wheelchair, right? And it's like you could break your arm, oh, it's because you're in the wheelchair. Like so, I want to be like on that side of it is like if I become a family physician, I want to be able to listen to my patients and actually be like, yeah, you know what? It's not because of the wheelchair, it's something else, right?
Yeah,
And
we
then the other side of me is like neurosurgeon because I want to find the cure. But I'm like, I don't really want to go through like 16 years of school.
and that's a very true statement for many facets of the chronic illness community, no matter what it is. We as MSers sometimes, a lot of the time, we complain about something or we mention something, and the doctor goes, "Oh yeah, that's because you have MS." So I 100% hear what you're saying, and it it unfortunately takes people with real world firsthand experience to be like, no, sometimes you can just be sick,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure you resonated with a lot of us MSers when you said that, because a lot of us are like, it's always thrown out the fact that we have MS. Exactly what Nick said. So
Yeah, and it
Man.
gets annoying at that point. It's just like, why don't you listen to what I'm saying? Like, I know my body, I know the disability side of it, right? So it's like I know what's gonna affect me because of disability, but like this is not right. This is not in correlation with my disability. This is something else, right? And a lot of doctors just don't listen. So I want to be different when it comes to that.
Okay, so you have this, what do we call it? Do I say back injury? Like, I mean, I don't know the proper terms.
It's
Okay,
spinal cord injury, or I don't know.
so
Honestly, I
spinal,
don't
no,
care.
no, no, spinal injury,
Yeah.
of course, so silly of me. So you have the spinal injury, you had problems with your hand. What's up with your eye? It's not funny,
This
man. You're just like an investor. You gotta, you're like, oh, that's something else, dude.
So, um, because of the accident, because of like all the high stress and everything, I was told that I probably had a minor stroke and my eye kind of got messed up. So there was a point where everything was normal. Like both my eyes were like normal, whatever. And now my left eye, last year in October, actually, I went to the temple and I was like by one of the gods or whatever, and I was like praying, and some random uncle lit an incense stick and it sparked and it hit me in the eye. And from then I've had issues. And then also because like I got into like high stress after that, and it just like affected it. And now my eyes like constantly red, constantly swollen. I have like a headache constantly on this side. So they're thinking that I probably have to get surgery in my eye now.
Man, just from that spark.
anything else? No.
Oh
As of right now, no.
my God. What he remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness.
I, I'm very accident prone. Like always. There's always something going on.
Man, and you said something about your left eye going smaller.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know if you can see it. It's
I
like
don't
A
think
little, a little bit, yeah.
yeah.
okay.
So I have to like constantly put like eye drops. Or, like there's like special steroid eye drops and like a gel.
Yeah.
The gel is so annoying because it's like it literally comes out like toothpaste and you have to like rub it in your eye. It's the most
Oh
disgusting thing.
no,
When
no, thank you.
when you work on that eye, if you do surgery, can you do like correction for your lenses like at the
Honestly, I
same
probably
time?
would. I probably would. Yeah, I'll ask them.
While we're here, sign up for the deluxe eye package.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Well, now that we've gone over your complete medical history, oh,
Then Bollywheels 3 years later.
Yeah.
It was like a sign for you, you know, that this happened so that you could start that because otherwise
Yeah,
you'd just be a non-special person dancing Bollywood
yeah.
style.
It like even like Bollywheels, like I never would have thought I would like never in a million years would I thought I would own a dance group or like start a dance group. I've always been part of groups and I've always danced with cousins and friends and stuff, but I never thought I would be the one like being a founder of one and like it blowing up the way it is now. Like it's crazy.
Bro, I wish I was Indian so I can be a part of that, man.
You don't have to
Is
be
that
Indian to be part of it. We're
come
all
on,
about
man. They're all
inclusion.
but I'd be the odd duck sitting there. But anyway, yeah, that's really
We'll
cool,
teach
man.
you.
I'm down, man.
so how did that come about? How you're sitting there one day and you're like, I've been dancing a lot and now here I am in a chair. So let me just make the best of it and do what I know, or
No, it was actually so obviously Bean and Brittany from the show, it was their birthday dinner. This is January of 2023. So this kind of goes back to my accident. So like I got discharged from the hospital in May of 22. So and then I met Bean in July of that same year. So and then I never met anyone else. So the only person I actually met was Bean. And then Bean had invited me to this dinner, and she was like, "You're gonna meet all the other wheelie peeps. You're gonna meet all our friends, and like start getting out, whatever, like in the community, everything." And I was like, "Okay." So that was the first day that I drove with the portable hand controls. That was the day that I broke up with my ex. Like that day was, it was an amazing day, and that was the day that I got reached out by like this producer of Push to be on the show. So like great things. And so I go to this dinner and I meet like Bean, Brittany, I meet all the wheelie peeps, everything, and then Katie, which is our agent, or like she's now my agent, but like she was everyone's agent, whatever. And I never met her, so she sat in front of me and she's like, "Hey, I've never met you before. What's your story? Like, tell me about you." So tell her about like the injury, everything, and I'm like fresh, like it's not even, it's like a little over a year at this point, and 6 months out of the hospital, whatever. And I tell her about the dancing, and she's like, "Well, why don't you dance now?" And I was like, "Well, I've reached out to like there's a group here in Edmonton that like it's a dance group for people with disabilities." And I reached out during that time while I was in the hospital. I reached out multiple times, but I never heard a response back. Later on, I figured out it was because of COVID, so they weren't like operating. But like obviously at that time, I didn't know about it, right? So like I was very upset, very like, what the fuck, like no one's reaching out, like this sucks, kind of thing. So I talked to Katie about it, and Katie was like, "Why don't you start your own thing? Like you've danced for so long, you've choreographed many performances." Because I showed her videos. She's like, "These are great. Why don't you start it?" And I was like, "Huh, you know what? Like I never thought about it like that. So yeah, I could." I was like, "I'll think about it." So I went home that evening, got into the fight with my ex, whatever, and that was the day that was the night we broke up, everything. And I like search up on YouTube like Bollywood wheelchair dancing, and there's literally nothing. Like there's two things. One is a group in India that like performs at like those big dance competitions, but they're using their legs to do wheelies and stuff like that. So it wasn't authentic.
That doesn't
And then
count.
Yeah.
and then the other one was like this girl
Doesn't.
in, I think she's in San Francisco, where she just dances with her cousin. But like also her wheelchair is like it's like one of the hospital wheelchairs. So I was like, well, this is not as authentic. It is authentic in what she's doing, and I
Yeah.
was like, but it could be better. And I was like, there's no, other than that, there was nothing. So the following week, I had to go to a party, and I see Katie there, and and as I was on my drive there, I was thinking about it. I was like, "Ah, like how is this gonna start?" I was like, Bollywood wheelchairs, and like this has been going on in my mind for a week now. Get to the party, I take a few shots. I'm like wasted at this point. Katie comes and I see her, and I was like, "Bolly wheels," and she looks at me and she's like, "Holy fuck, yes!" And that's how it came to be, is because of that like drunk thought kind of thing.
Dude, what a good name. Like, how did no one come up with that
Yeah.
before?
I
Like,
honestly don't know.
dude, you're so lucky. It's such a good name.
Yeah, now we're trademarked, so no one can take it.
Nice. Nice. Are you in pain right now? I'm sure you are, bro. But I mean, from the injuries, are you in pain when you dance? Are you in pain?
uh no, I think it's almost like, you know, when you like go to the gym and you work out, your like muscles
Mm,
get sore. It's almost like
mm.
that. So like after dancing, if you're dancing for a few hours, obviously like your muscles are gonna get sore and everything, right? But other than that, like I don't really get pain. I recently joined hockey, so I get more pain from hockey. And then the
Okay.
worst days are like when I'm dancing and then I go to hockey, and then the next day I
Yeah.
have hockey again. Like my shoulders are done.
Mm.
I want to wear suspenders because of that one dance move you do.
Oh yeah, in
Dude,
out, in out, yeah.
that
That
would
was
be my
our
dance
first
move.
one.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. That's cool, man.
So,
That- Yeah, that was a fun performance. That was for Fringe. That was because of Push. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Push was like, "Why don't you guys perform for Fringe?" It got us like literally the largest festival in the nation, and it's here in Edmonton. And I was like, "Oh my god!" And then first performance after, at that time it would have been 4 years, and in a wheelchair. Like, it was crazy, crazy that day.
so what are some of the obvious but not so obvious challenges when choreographing Bollywood? Like I'm only fairly familiar with Bollywood stuff. I know the storylines are usually about family and love, I think. Um,
Yep.
so what are some of those challenges with working with the dancers you have?
Uh, so like, okay, so with Bollywood music now, so old school Bollywood is, there's a lot of life lessons in old school Bollywood, like early 2000s, I would say, like 90s and 2000s, like that's prime Bollywood. very good life lessons and everything. So if I ever had to recommend a Bollywood movie to watch, like go to those classics. And then within each Bollywood movie, so like this is where it's different from like English artists. Like English artists, they release an album and then it has their whole soundtrack, and they'll have like 13 songs or whatever. With Bollywood, it's these 13 songs or whatever, however many songs that come from the movie, and how it works is like these songs play into the storyline. And so like now it's like when we take those songs, we have to also like make sure it's like appropriate for the dance, make sure it's not too slow, not too fast. We can usually make it where it's just fun, it's like a party kind of vibe, right? The hardest thing is like moves, like dance moves, making it in line with the able-bodied dancers and the wheelchairs, and like figuring out formations. Like that's the hardest part about it.
You guys look like it's flawless when you and Bean are dancing in the wheelchairs, and I'm like, and I look for the mess ups because I'm like, how do you control the chair? Because I'm in a chair, man. So
Yeah.
how do you control it perfectly? Is there bloopers? And is there
Oh,
bloopers live?
there's so many videos actually. Like out of all of our performance, I think everyone at least messes up once. Everyone does, and this is a normal thing, right? Whether you're a professional dancer or not, like you're gonna mess up. You're gonna get nervous. You're gonna mess up, right? And I look for the same thing as where I mess up, and even our choreographers and our other founders, like she also looks at it. She's like, "Roneel, you fucked up here," and I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, you need more practice. And I'm like, I know the dance moves. I know everything. But it's like when you're on stage, there's that many people, there's so many eyes looking on you. There's the lights. Oh, I like blank.
But you haven't been in a chair for 15 years to be such a pro at being, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Very good point.
I know we're
Very good point.
good and stuff, and it just takes months to get good at a chair, but still, like, it just seemed like you guys were flawless.
Oh,
So
thanks. Yeah,
I
it's just
haven't.
a lot of practice. And then even like there's only a certain amount of things that you can do with a wheelchair, right? Like, yeah,
Yes.
you can pop a wheelie and spin, but how many times are you gonna do that? Right?
Yeah.
Like people are gonna get tired of it. Right. So now we're trying to like do a little bit more where like the able-bodied dancers are flipping over us, right? And like creating optical illusions. Like I'm starting a choreo actually tomorrow with my best friend, where it's like we're gonna have her back facing the audience, but she's sitting in front of me, and her legs are doing the stuff while I'm using my hands, right? And
Nice.
then we flip and like turn around, face the audience, and then we do our regular choreo, whatever, right? So it's like that little bit of like an illusion kind of thing. But yeah, it's just hard with the. I don't know. There's a lot of things that are hard with the wheelchair when it comes to dancing, because it's like you can spin, but you can't really like with with the able-bodied dancers, like they can move forward and back while they're doing their hand motions. We have to choose either we do the hand motion or we move forward and back, like, and then
Yeah.
side to side. We can't do side to side at all, right? So it's like when they're doing the side to side, we're just sitting there, or we're doing something with our hands to mimic that motion. So yeah, there's a lot where it's like we can't really do a lot of these moves, or we have to adapt it.
I feel like there's a future technology out there where, um, you know how they have those like hover around or the what are they called? The segways,
Mhm.
where the people can stand on them and then they just kind of lean and the thing goes where it wants. I feel
Yep.
like there needs to be like a a future technology where there's like a strap around and then your chest and then you can just kind of lean and the
Oh my
chest go
God.
where you want it to go.
So it's funny that you mentioned that. There's actually a
Crazy.
wheelchair. It's 35,000 or 45
Whew. Huh.
$40,000. It's crazy, but it's like a remote controlled wheelchair. So it looks like a manual chair. You
Yeah.
can control it with an app, so you can go hands free and everything, and it moves side to side. It moves forward and back. And I was like, huh. When Bollywheels gets big enough, I was like, I'm gonna totally invest in that. Have one person sitting on the side, like doing remote control, so that it's like
That is
we have our hands
so
free to do every
cool.
move.
That would be
That
great.
is so cool. And then you're gonna be on like America's Got Talent one day, and I don't
Yeah.
know.
Hopefully.
So for any investors listening who want to get in on a startup that has huge potential, Bollywheels.
How did you find the dancers? Are they family or did you know them before?
No, so Bullock, our other co-founder,
Yes.
so me and her used to dance together at U of A. at the U of A Bollywood dance group, and that was back in 2017. So that's like when I started university and everything. She was also in school at that time for, I think, nursing, and then we were just part of this extracurricular dance group, whatever. Danced for like a year and a half together, and then after that, I left because I got busy with like work and then school, and just my life got kind of hectic. She stayed within the group, and then COVID happened, and then obviously got paralyzed. But we kept each other on like social media, and I had always seen that she was like, so she was a dancer at first, and then she became like a choreographer, and then she was like the president of the group. So she worked her way up, and I had kind of like kept. I was like, oh, congratulations! Like, I would like message her, whatever. And then it was funny because like right before my accident, I saw her working at the hospital, and I was like transporting a patient. I saw her, whatever. So then accident happened, and then when everything happened and Bollywheels came to be, I was like, huh, I should reach out to her because like she's always been nice to me. She's a great choreographer, whatever. And I reached out, and I told her the idea about it, and she's like, fuck yeah, we're doing it. And then that's when I was like, I have a few cousins that dance, I have a few friends that dance, but I was like the thing is in the Fijian and like also the Indian community, it's mostly girls that dance. You rarely see guys that are dancing, right? Like if you look at our group, majority of it is girls, right? And I was like, well, we need more guys. And she's like, I have a whole bunch of friends. Don't worry, like we got you. And she ended up pulling through, and like the whole dance group is like basically her friends, which are not like we're all friends, we're like a huge family, but yeah, it was basically because of her that she put the dance group together.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool how a family is formed all because you got injured.
Literally, yeah.
You have a lot of ink on your arms.
Oh yeah,
Did you
I'm
get
kind
that
of covered up, but
before?
yeah. I was like,
Yeah, oh man, I didn't notice how.
yeah.
But did you get that all before or after? I'm just curious, the
No,
story.
I got it after. I think when I met you, when did you come to Edmonton again?
March of 2024.
That was this year, right? So was it when I
Yeah,
came
it's
back?
crazy, isn't it? It was just this year too. It just, I was like, was it just, yeah, it was
Yeah.
a few months ago,
It feels like it's been for longer.
dude. It
Uh
was so awkward for me, by the way, sitting there in front of you, because and Katrina, she was like, "Were you fanning over him?" I'm like, "No," but it was awkward because I'm like, that guy's on the show. That guy,
Yeah.
because it was just crazy, man. Because I was coming with Jen, who came with me on the trip.
yeah.
We were wheeling from the hotel to you guys, and then you guys were all hanging out, and I was like, are we hanging out with these guys?" I'm like, and it's funny because you guys are all on wheelchairs. I'm like, what are the chances? Are these the guys? Of
Yeah.
course. It's just,
Has to be.
it was such a great day. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun day. That was a great day. The
Yeah,
food there
man.
was good too. The
I was
barbecue.
so awkward.
Uh, I didn't feel like you were awkward at all.
I was awkward, bro. I was like trying to connect with you, and I'm like, yeah. Anyway,
Um,
Terry's told me several times
yeah.
off the show, and I'm sorry, Terry, but he said how he was, he felt like at some kind of convention where he was in the crowd. That well, he was like all these people who are on TV, and there's little me sitting over here.
it was
Honestly,
cool.
it's weird. Like when people say like, "Oh, you're on a TV show," I find it so weird. I'm like, nah, I'm just a regular guy. Like I'm just me.
It's cool, man. It's the whole, and I always say this word ambiance with you guys. It was family. I felt like I was instant family, you know?
Yeah,
And I didn't even meet Brian yet. I met him the next day.
yeah. You met Brian the next, yeah, because Brian
And
wasn't there. That you
dude,
see,
so welcoming.
and that's exactly how I felt like at being in Brittany's birthday dinner was because I never met anyone, right? And I felt like really alone and I was like struggling. Once I met everyone and like I heard everyone's stories, I was like, holy fuck. Like if they can do it, why can't I? Yeah. That's the one thing I guess with Bollywheels too that we're trying to build is like that community that's like everyone is supporting us and like trying to change that stigma because like being brown and in a wheelchair, it's already looked down upon, right? And then
You're brown?
I, now
I'm
I think
sorry.
of like losing a little bit of my color.
You know me, I'm the guy with the dumb jokes. Okay.
I love it. But yeah, like I mean, like everyone looks like, especially in the Indian community, Indian, Fijian, South Asian community. in general, when you have a disability, you're looked down upon, right? Like you're considered a burden, you're isolated, you're put off into the corner. So it's like that's the one thing that I'm trying to like break is like people need to stop thinking that. People need to stop underestimating what people with disabilities can do, right? Like I was when I first got injured, it was so my mom came to the hospital and everything, and obviously she's upset, and she was like, "I want you to come and live back home with us, like with her and my dad." And I was like, "No, I don't want to. I want to stay independent. Like I'd rather do my own thing and figure it out on my own." And she's like, "Why? Like we'll help you out." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Think about it now," because like my parents came here in the '90s, so I was like, "Think about it in Fiji." I was like, when somebody ends up getting hurt or sick or like paralyzed there, I was like, "What happens to them?" And she's like, "Oh, nothing. Should they just stay at home and the family takes care of them?" And I was like, "Okay." But I was like, "Do they go out?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, do they have like a social life? Do they work? Do they do anything?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "Exactly." I was like, "I do not want that for myself. I want to be able to feed myself, like do everything myself. I don't need you babying me kind of thing. If I need help, I'll ask for it." Right. And she was like, "Yeah, that's true." And the very common thing in Fiji is like when stuff like that happens, the person could be 100% okay, but then the family will start babying them and like doing everything for them where they lose their independence. And what happens is that physical disability turns into a mental disability, right? And then that's when it really affects them. And then at this point, they're like a vegetable sitting at home. And that's when they become a burden,
Mm.
right?
Dude, totally understand you. As soon as I got MS, my mom was like, "Oh, now
Mhm.
you should move into my home." And I'm like, "Yeah, no,
Mhm.
not happening." Exact same thing, man. My independence and
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not ready. And I know family members that were in a chair,
Mhm.
and now I'm like, why were they in a chair? Did
Yeah.
they have MS? And they're like, "Oh, no, no, don't worry. She had something." My background's Middle Eastern, right? So
Yeah.
same
Mm.
thing. And we came in the 90s. I wasn't born in Canada. Were you born in Canada?
I was born here
Okay.
in Edmonton.
Okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, oh, and Edmonton too. So you were there your whole life, basically. Cool.
Basically, yep.
But same thing with my mom. She's like, "You move," and till this day, she's like, are we gonna move in together?" I'm like, "No, stop asking me." But exact same thing. She wants to baby me and all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But
It was funny
dude,
just the other day, my mom was talking about like, because like the neighbor that I have, she's like over 90. So like
yeah.
she's about to go, like she's pretty old. My mom's like, "Oh, when that house goes for sale," she's like, "I'll buy it. I'll live next door to you." And I was like, "For what?" I
Oh
was
boy.
like, "There's no way." And she's like, "No, because then like you can come over for dinner. I can come over, see when you're having a party, this and that." And I was like, "Oh my God, no, like too much."
You go to the 90-year-old neighbor, live forever.
Yeah, literally, right?
Why does my neighbor keep dropping off boxes of vitamins?
Yeah.
That's funny, man. You wrote something that I want to ask you about. I don't know what it means, and I hope
Mhm.
it's not something bad, but I think it was really recent when you got hurt. So one of your buddies, I don't know if he was a friend, but he wrote, "Why so sad?"
Oh
And
my
then
God.
you wrote, "Sometimes in life, my gusa is my cushy."
Oh.
What does that mean, bro? I've been
Okay.
asking friends, what does that mean? And they're like, maybe it's an Indian thing. I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna ask him on
Yeah.
the spot.
So gussa means anger.
Gusa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kushi means
Okay.
happiness.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I
I
was like,
like that,
sometimes my
bro.
anger is my happiness.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah. So
I was really hoping it wasn't going to be something else. So I'm glad that's what.
Bro.
yeah, no, we're always like joking around with each other. I forgot who wrote that. I don't know if it was my cousin or a friend. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look at it.
I'm that guy who goes on Instagram and I'm like, and I
Yeah.
have dates and stuff. I'm like, when you first started, when
Yeah.
you first talked about your handicap. So I'm like, I'm not gonna go through that now because you already told us a story, but man, you so much in such a short time, you
Yeah.
know?
It's crazy. Crazy.
Are you still in denial? Like, I know that sounds silly because you're past everything, but like that's
Uh,
it. You're never gonna, I'm, is it insensitive for me to say you're never gonna walk again? You know?
No, I mean, I think it's like a reality that I have to accept. There, obviously, I still have a little bit of hope with the treatments that I've been going to Thailand
Okay,
for.
good,
Like, I do have that hope that one day I will walk again, right? And with the
good.
technology that's coming out now, like, there's stem cells. Like, maybe in 5, 10 years, there's going to be something else, right? Like, and maybe when I become a doctor, I find the cure. You know, like you never know. So I think there'll always be that part of me that there's that hope, right? I think in the beginning, 100%, I was in denial. Like, oh, I'm gonna walk again. I'm gonna walk again. And I was very adamant about it. And what was happening was because I was so focused on me walking again and like what the future was going to hold for me, I forgot about the present. I forgot to live my life in the moment, right? So I think that's like now where my mindset is because like it's funny because Bean has been telling me for years, start going to therapy, start like talking to like a psychologist, and they'll help you through these emotions, even though you think you don't need it. There's always something that you can talk about. There's always something that you can work on, right? Like we're not perfect. So I started seeing a therapist, and my whole mindset has shifted. Like from where I was grateful in the beginning, where like, yeah, I'm grateful that this happened because of so many opportunities. But now I think I'm more into it, where I'm more grateful for the people in my life. I'm grateful for the accident. I'm grateful for the opportunities. I'm so grateful for everything. And now I've like, I'm like, if I don't walk, it's okay. And if I do, even better. But also, I'm content with where I am. Yeah.
Like that's a great mindset shift that Terry and I really hope that everyone who's going through this kind of a thing gets to the acceptance phase. Um, because it's super important. And you're right. Once you stop and turn around and look at all the things you have instead of all the things you don't have, life gets better.
Yeah. Like, oh, this is funny. Another medical history. 3 weeks ago, I went for hernia surgery.
Oh man, I had two.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, when I was like 4 years old, and then I
Yeah.
think when I was 21.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, this one I got. The hernia happened last year during, when we're in the show, it's like the last episode, the protest. It was when I
Yeah,
was lifting the wheelchair out of the truck. Two of the hernias popped out, and I was like, well, fuck. And then
oh,
yeah, so I had two, like one on my, and it's because of the initial accident, because they actually cut me open from the chest down, cut me open
yeah,
4 times. So because of that, my abdominal muscles are like super weak. So that's
yeah,
where the hernia like kind of popped through. So went for the surgery, and my dad was driving me. It's like 4 in the morning, and we're sitting there, and one of the backstories before my accident, I got into a really big fight with my parents, and that was the whole reason why I moved out of my house. I left everything, left with like me and my fiance were together, and it was like I wasn't talking to my parents, right? And when I woke up from my coma, um, so I was in the coma for 10 days. I woke up and I saw my dad, and instead of me being happy, I had the tube in me. I couldn't speak, whatever. I'm tied down because I went to go pull out the tube. I started freaking out, and my dad's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" He calls the doctors. He's crying, and I see him like upset. But yet, what I did was I still feel bad about this till this day. I kind of like motioned to the nurse to get me a pen and paper, and I wrote "Get out" to my dad.
Mm.
So we're driving to this hernia surgery, and I turned to him and I was like, "I'm sorry," and he's like, "For what?" And he's like, I was like, for everything that I put you guys through, like you guys have done so much for me. And I may not say I love you or thank you, or I don't appreciate, I may not show that I appreciate it, but like, thank you. And I'm sorry for what I did at the hospital. I was like, no father should go through that with their son. Right. And my dad was like, holy fuck. And like, called my mom after. There was like, I don't know, it was just like an epiphany moment that I was like, you know what, life is so fucking short. Like anything could happen to anyone at any point. You could be the healthiest person and shit can happen to you, right? And I called my mom when I got home. I had a little bit of a nap, and I called my mom and I was like, I love you. And she's like, what? And I was like, I don't say it enough, and I appreciate you guys, like literally, like with the house and like the disability, how much they've been fighting. and like trying to get me better, sending me to Thailand, everything, right? And I was like, thank you. And I love you guys. And I was like, I promise to be a better son. And my mom started crying and everything. And I went and I told all my friends that I appreciate them and like love them, right? And I was like, I'm just so grateful to have the community and the family and friends that I do in my life. Yeah.
Wow, bro, you grew because of this. That's really cool, man. I,
Thanks.
you become a better person, and I don't think I've become a better person. Like I, st- I'm aware I'm a different person because of my illness. I've become a little more edgy,
Mhm.
and I'm aware when I become edgy, I apologize afterwards. But I don't know how you control your like.
I think I'm the same way. I like because of the disability, I've become so like little things kind of tick me off, and like I'm like this pisses me off, this and that, right? And yeah, I get mad, but I think now with that like that shift, which it's recent, it's been only like a few weeks, right, that I've had this shift in this mindset after seeing this therapist, and I'm like, why am I getting so mad? Where is this anger and frustration going to take me? Right? It's only going to dig a deeper hole for me and I'm not going to get better. Right? So I was like having that positive mindset, having that compassion and that empathy. I was like, I think I'll get further in life than being angry. So that's where I've kind of shifted. Instead of getting mad at people, I'm like, let me listen, let me be a better listener and explain to them where I'm coming from and why things frustrate me.
Everybody needs therapy if you're sick or not. This is my opinion. Even if you're sick or not sick, you need therapy just to have someone to talk to for whatever feelings you're going through. I mean, as long as it's not biased and stuff, because if you have a friend you can talk to, fine. But I'm a big believer of counselors and therapists. And maybe 15, 20 years ago, I wouldn't say that because I'm like, nah, I don't need therapy. But now when I see a therapist for say 6 weeks, I'm going through this program. Afterwards, I feel so good. I'm on this new path. And then 2 months later, I come back down again. I become, and I'm like, oh, so it's a daily thing to work on, not daily, but you should
Mhm.
see one every week, every month, whatever the case is. But so
Yeah.
I'm glad that you talked about that too. And you know,
Yeah, I think yeah, same thing. I think therapy helps everyone. Like as much as same thing. Like I would have thought like 10, 15 years ago, I would have been like, fuck no. There's no way I'm going to therapy.
for
Therapy is for
sure.
crazy people. Like that's why you go to therapy, because you're crazy, right? But
Hmm.
now I'm
Hmm.
like, you know what? Like I think it's a healthy outlet. It's a good way for you to get out your emotions and understand why you're dealing with these emotions and find the root cause. Because you can't fix the problem if you don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
Yep. And the best way to do that is with someone who is not emotionally involved
Mhm.
with the issue that you're dealing with. Because if you, sometimes when you express things that you're struggling with to people who care about you, they immediately want to rush in and solve the problem for you.
Mhm.
Just because if they care about you, obviously that's what we do. But when someone doesn't have a stake in it, they can actually do a good job of being like the upside of it, without making you feel like you're bad or wrong for feeling the way you do, and that's why you need one who's not connected to it. Are you are you comfortable about talking about the treatments you're going to Thailand for?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So what takes us to Thailand?
So my first treatment, I went, and I think me and Terry had this conversation when you
Yeah.
came.
Yeah.
This is my first flight ever.
How many hours?
18 hours.
Damn.
Well, okay. It was what like literally when I met you was like I think a few weeks after I got back, but that one was 18 hours. The first one was I had so many transfers. The longest one was 14 because it was from Taiwan to Thailand. That was like a
Yeah.
14-hour flight, but like still like, and then the other one was Vancouver to Thailand, which was 18. So I've been there twice. First one I went in April of, or was it? It was April of 2023. Basically went for stem cell injections.
Okay.
Um, they said I have a high chance of walking again. They don't know when. They don't know how many treatments. It's just a matter of time. So, like, so if you met me before, like, if you met me at that time, I was a completely different person. I could barely sit up. I could barely wheel myself. I wasn't driving. I couldn't transfer without a sliding board. Getting it in and out of the shower was like really hard for me. I would always fall out of my chair because of the like imbalance. I only had feeling, so like because my T12, I had feeling up to my ribs, so I didn't have like my stomach area. So went to Thailand for the first one, ended up coming back, and I got feeling up to my waist. That was immediate.
Oh, way.
And then after 6 months, I got feeling up to mid thigh. And then,
Okay.
yeah. And then basically somewhat got my bladder back. So like now I can like really feel when I have to go take a piss, instead of like
Yeah.
using catheter and stuff. Or like I still use the catheter, but like I can feel when I have to go. And then
Yeah.
the second time was in February, or like January of this year to February, because I went for a month. Same thing, came back, and then I got feeling up to my knees, and then I have feeling in the bottom of my feet now, like it's like kind of patchy, and then hot and cold I've been getting, and then same thing like with my bladder, I've been able to hold my pee longer, more feeling, and then overall stronger. So like now I have like full trunk control. I have my back, right? Still a little bit weak, like I have to work on it, but like from what it was, much better.
And this is from the treatments?
This is from treatments, yeah.
Damn, how happy were you when it was
Pre-
improving?
I'm pretty happy. Like I think the first time, my mindset was almost like, "Oh, I'm gonna come back walking." You know, like I had that mindset. So when I came back, I was very disappointed that I didn't come back walking. But then when I did the research afterwards, which I should have done before, I was like, it's a slow process, you know? And then finally, like after the second one, I'm like, oh shit, you know what? This is good, right? Like I know it's gonna take time. I know it's gonna like probably take a few years, and like with physio and everything, like it's coming, you know? And like recently I've been able to start moving my knee a little bit. And like when I'm laying in bed, so like I'll sleep in fetal position, I've been able to like bring my knees up to my chest without using my hands, which is crazy
Nice.
because I was never able
That
to
is-
do that before, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I don't know, Thailand's beautiful. I wouldn't have thought ever in a million years that I would go to Thailand, but for these
I,
treatments, I'm going, so it's great.
everybody at the dinner table at the restaurant was like, "Oh, good for Terry. Terry took a 3-hour trip to come see us. Yay!" And then I'm sitting in front of you. You're like, 18 hours," and I'm like, "Dude." And then first thing I went to was the pee topics. I'm like, "Dude, did you pee? Like, how do you pee?" And my
Yeah.
whole thing was about the washrooms because that's all I think about. Like, you're stuck in this chair. Anyway, everything was okay, but I remember that. And I'm like, why am I talking to this guy about pee?
It's a normal thing. I was like, I think with us being in wheelchairs, like there's no topic that we can avoid. Like pee,
Dude,
shit, like everything. We're talking about
dude.
everything.
I was so appreciative of sitting because you were just talking and it was good. It was a good day for me. Man.
Did you have to go through the whole quarantine and all that too? Because the last guy we talked to who went to stem cells, he had to go quarantine for a very long time each time.
No, when I got there, they were just like, we're gonna do a COVID test, whatever. So they immediately did it. They have a machine that checks it like right away. It's so high tech in that one hospital, it's crazy. So they checked it right away. It said negative. Checked my dad and my dad went with me the first time. The second time is my dad and my sister. So like checked all of us. Everything was good. They kind of like we went in a room and there was like a sanitizer kind of thing. Um, but I also think it was maybe just like the hospital was very clean. It was like I think it was like mist. It might have been the air conditioning. It looked like a fucking sanitizer from a movie, like just spraying you down.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I don't know what it was, but it looked sick. And yeah, everything was negative. Went into the hospital, like everything was good. Like there was nothing, no quarantine, nothing.
Huh.
Yeah. The only thing is like that the area where the hospital is for the treatments, like it's kind of isolated. So it's like it's in the city. It is like it's in Bangkok, but it's like there's not really you can't really go anywhere with a wheelchair, right? So it's like you're still kind of isolated in that sense. But you can take taxis or whatever. And then when I got transferred to the hotel, that's when I was like exploring and going everywhere.
Would you ever go back to Thailand?
Oh, 100%. I love it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you go there before the treatments?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
I just went there twice for the treatments, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful country. Like people are amazing, people are friendly, food there's cheap, it's like delicious. Like, and I love like Asian cuisine, so like
Yeah.
pad thai, like all those kind of foods, and
Nice.
like noodles and like skewers, whatever they have, like the street food. One of
Yeah.
my
Mm.
favorite types of food. So, and like I remember like the first day we went, or like the first day we got to the hotel, there was like, because it was during the Thai New Year, the strip in front of like our hotel, there was just food carts, and like I got like pork skewers, and then there was like ham wrapped enoki mushrooms, and like it's so hard to find enoki mushrooms here, and like those are my favorite, and like so I'm like literally sitting there in front of this food stall, I'm like asking them for whatever food, and I get like a shit ton, and I'm expecting to spend like $30-$40. She like
Yeah.
tells me the price in Thai, and I'm like, okay, and I like calculated it was like $5 that I spent, and I was like so full, had leftovers, everything. Like it was
Oh,
great,
we're living in the wrong country. Well,
honestly.
not really, because I mean, how accessible are they there compared to,
They
and I heard Edmonton is like the number one, I heard. Number one facilities in all of Canada. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not,
I
but I heard,
don't know.
uh, I'm like, Edmonton, not Ontario?
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I know some places that are super inaccessible here in Edmonton, so I don't know if it'd be number one. I
Hmm.
would have thought like Vancouver or something, Vancouver or like Toronto.
That's what I would think too. Yeah, exactly. But dude, if you become a doctor, and I said this to you before, if you become a doctor or if you don't, I still think you're a really cool guy. If you ever walk again, and if you don't, you're still a cool guy to me, man. And I'm so
Thanks.
appreciative that you accepted to come on here. I was like, how do I ask him without, being a weirdo? And when you were
No.
like, yeah, I'd love to come, like, yeah, of course, we want you to be on here. And when I told Nick, Nick's like, and he saw your profile, he's like, yo, I want to talk to this guy.
Let's
Yeah.
get him.
So appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
So, how does someone find how to get involved with Bollywheels if they want to?
Talk to me. Honestly, yeah, just message me, or message our Instagram, whatever. I'm pretty active on our social
Okay.
media, so like I respond to everyone. Best thing is just reach out to me on my personal Instagram or whatever, and then better conversation there, and then yeah, want to join,
Perfect.
hire us for
Well,
performances or whatever.
great. We'll have Terry link it underneath so that we can reach out to some people because I'm sure there's people out there. And it was good that you had said that you don't need to be Indian to come dance Bollywheels
Yeah,
because there may be people out there who are like, I want to join a dance group, but I don't fit the criteria. So
yeah, no, our whole thing is about inclusion. So whatever skin color, whatever race, everything, disability, non-disability, that's what we're going for, right? We want to be inclusive in all aspects.
perfect. Perfect.
Respect.
Thank you so very much for taking time out of your day today to talk with us and to highlight a little piece of what it's like, what your story is. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Can't wait for you to come back on too, okay?
Of course, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right, brother. Another great show. Appreciate you.
Definitely, man. Yeah.
And we'll talk soon.
Talk soon, man. So check us out at 40belowzero.com. That's 4 letter T below 0.com. Or feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is info@40belowzero.com. Our personal Instagram account are, for Nix, it's Nix_V713. Or for Terry, it's What's_MS. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. We'll talk soon.